Recent Redfin data showed that Louisville, Kentucky is ranked 5th in the US for cities that people are wanting to move away from. Now, you might be asking yourself, where are these people moving to? Well, the answer might surprise you. The number one city that people are searching to move towards from Louisville, Kentucky is Seattle, Washington. Did that surprise you? I know it did surprise me. So in today's video, we're going to be comparing Louisville, Kentucky and Seattle, Washington. I would love to know in the comments whether you think you'd prefer to live in Louisville or Seattle. Let's start with an overview of each city. Seattle, Washington is located in the northwest of the United States. Seattle is known for its absolutely beautiful landscape. They have Mount Rainier, the Puget Sound. It's known for being lush and green. Now we know that it rains a lot in Seattle, so that's probably how they get that green nature. It's been known and called the Emerald City. This is a vibrant city that offers an urban experience as well as lots of outdoor recreation. So if you're a person who values living in the city, but you also like to enjoy the outdoors and be out in nature, this might be a good fit for you. Seattle has a diverse and progressive culture. It's known for having entrepreneurs. It's known to be a coffee-loving city. We know that Starbucks was started there. So whether you're living in their many diverse neighborhoods, you're taking a ferry across the Puget Sound, or you're enjoying some fresh seafood at Pike's Market, Seattle is an unforgettable city where many people are flocking to live. Now, Louisville, Kentucky, on the other hand, is located right in the center of our city. Is it in the South or is it in the Midwest? We have a lot of controversy about that. I personally think it's the furthest northern state in the South. So I link it in with the southern states, but it is known for its warm hospitality and southern charm. Louisville has a vibrant culture, and it's probably most well known for the Kentucky Derby, the most exciting 1 minute in sports that we have every single year, the first Saturday of May. Louisville has a lot of character. It's known for its eclectic art scene. It's known as being a foodie city. It's often ranked in the US for some of our best food in the United States. It's known for its distinct seasons, its affordable cost of living. It has several prominent universities here and some larger healthcare institutions as well. Who wouldn't want to live in Louisville? Now that we have an overview of each city, we want to dive deeper into the cost of living in each place. So let's start with Seattle. Now, when we talk about a cost of living index, we look at a score based on 100. 100 represents the national average in the United States. So if you're above 100 in a particular category, that means you're higher than the average cost of living. And if you're lower, that means that you're lower than the average cost of living in the US. So we're going to go ahead and throw up a chart of the cost of living index scores for Seattle, Washington. You'll see that Seattle has an overall score of 167.8. So it is 67.8% higher cost of living than what's average in the United States. We see that it's over in groceries, housing, and transportation. It's actually lower than the national average for healthcare and utilities. According to Redfin data, the median sales price for a home in Seattle is $810,000. If we look at the average base salary for someone working in Seattle, it sits right at $89,000. So when I looked up a 18-pack of eggs in Seattle, just at the normal grocery store brand, it cost $5.19. Let's go ahead and compare this to Louisville, Kentucky, that has a much lower cost of living. When we look at Louisville's scores on the cost of living index, we see that the overall cost of living score is 89.7. This is almost 12% under the national average. We are below average for grocery, healthcare, housing, utilities, and there's only one category where we are sitting higher, and that would be our transportation score. We are about 3% higher than the national average for transportation. We have some particular taxes related to transportation that make the cost a little bit higher. The median sales price of a home in Louisville, Kentucky sits right around $250,000. The average base salary for someone working in Louisville is $68,000. Now, when I put Louisville to the egg test, I'm going to tell you it absolutely did beat Seattle. The 18 eggs from our just local grocery store here was $1.99. So the real question that everybody is wondering, obviously you're making more money in Seattle, but how much purchasing power are you really having? How far is that money actually reaching? Well, when we compare the two cities, if you were to have a salary of $75,000 in Louisville, Kentucky, you would need to increase that salary to $140,301 to be able to accommodate and make up for that cost of living in Seattle, Washington. But what you remember is that the base salary in Seattle is not actually that much higher than Louisville, Kentucky. So I think there's a lot of factors to consider when you're considering the cost of living of Seattle versus Louisville. The next category I want to look at is job opportunities. Now, I think it is true that there are more job opportunities in Seattle, and maybe that's why people are moving out there. I'm not really sure, but we're going to talk about some of the job opportunities in both places. When you think about Seattle, there's a lot of opportunities in the tech industry. So we've got Microsoft, we've got Amazon, these things having hubs and being headquartered there. There's just lots of tech industry type jobs. It offers employment opportunities with software development, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and several other things. Seattle also has a strong presence of healthcare, biotechnologies, and logistics. So while there are a plethora of job opportunities, it can be a more competitive job environment. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. It's got that high cost of living and it's going to be very competitive to have the job out there. So those are just factors that you're going to want to consider when thinking about moving to Seattle, Washington. Now, when you think about Louisville's job market, you're going to think in terms of healthcare, logistics, and manufacturing. We've got Norton Healthcare and University of Louisville healthcare systems. Both of those are major employers for us here in the city, as well as manufacturing. We have a GE plant. We also have a Ford plant. So there's a lot of things being made here in the city. And of course, logistics are big here as well. We've got Amazon has a hub here. We've got UPS Worldport here. I think it's just because we're central in the United States, so people can get out in a lot of different directions. It's kind of a central hub here for us. Also, we're located on the Ohio River, so we're able to transport goods up and down the river. Of course, Seattle, Washington is also a place for logistics, and maybe that's one of the reasons, we're seeing a connection between Amazon and UPS in both of these places with logistics. So maybe that's one of the reasons people are moving out to Seattle, is they have bigger and better job opportunities within their own company. The last category I want to look at is lifestyle and culture. So in Seattle, of course, we talked about it has this beautiful natural scenery. So you're going to be able to boat, you're going to be able to hike. It's going to have more interesting land to look at and more elevation, more different opportunities compared to Louisville, which is going to be a little bit more flat. We have great outdoor recreation in Louisville, but I don't think the beauty of it can really be compared to Seattle. Seattle is also very dedicated to their sustainable way of life, being eco-friendly, having a low, impact on the environment. So I visited Seattle a few years ago and I really observed that while I was there. That's going to be a little bit different than what we're experiencing here in Louisville. Seattle has a really strong and thriving arts scene. So whether it's the visual arts, whether it's performing arts, you're going to have a lot of opportunities in that area. And then Seattle is a place that has really great food as well. They're going to have more of an international influence than Louisville will in regards to their food scene. Now, as we said, Louisville tends to be known for its bourbon and horse racing. People in Louisville are really big into sports, whether they're U of L fans or UK fans. That's going to be a high value for us here. And then, as I mentioned before, food is really well known here in Louisville. We definitely have opportunities for outdoor recreation here as well. You're just not going to be able to climb a mountain or something like that. But as far as public parks and the park system, we have some privately owned parks and then of course our public park system as well. There's some really neat parks here in Louisville and opportunities to explore nature that's not too far outside of our city. Of course, we have Jefferson Memorial Forest, which is one of our largest urban forests in the US. So I don't want to knock Louisville down too much in regards to their outdoor recreation because for where it's located and for what it is, I think we have a lot to offer here. Well, I would love to know your answer. When you compare Seattle and Louisville, where do you think you might like to live? Comment below and let me know. Thanks so much for watching. And if you're considering a move to Louisville, please be sure to check out my video, Moving to Louisville, Kentucky. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you next time.